Greetings. I am Lawrence Bechtel, author of the Tinsmith's Apprentice historical fiction trilogy, published by BQB. Here is the first volume, A Partial Sun, and the second volume, That Dazzling Sun, and I am working on the third volume, A Slow Eclipse. Sometime in the late 1840s, somewhere in Petersburg, Virginia, Isaac Granger, a former slave of Thomas Jefferson, recalled for Charles Campbell, a historian, his life at Monticello. At one point, Isaac digressed and related an episode from his own life when, in 1790, he was taken by Old Master up to Philadelphia, where he was bound prentice to one Bringhouse, a tinner. Imagine, at the impressionable age of 15, Isaac is suddenly transported from a slave plantation in Virginia, where he'd been born and could expect to die, to the nation's capital and largest city, a destination city for escaped slaves, a city known for its thriving African-American community. And he remained there 4 years. I am sure that Isaac could have written volumes about this experience if he had known how to write, which is unlikely, and if he had dared to in the South before the Civil War. So, 220 years later, in 2012, I set about writing those volumes myself on Isaac's behalf, or tried to. I have stuck to history as much as I could and relied upon my imagination to convey what he may have thought and felt and how the experience may have changed him. So let me give you a taste of the result from A Partial Sun. First, from the introduction, when Campbell first meets Isaac. He was at that time about 71 years of age, and though somewhat stooped, still remarkably robust, with large shoulders and muscular forearms, and, I noticed, the end of one finger missing on his left hand. His face, black as coal, creased with lines, and glistening with sweat, wore an expression deeply somber, as though it registered all the sufferings of his race. And now from Chapter 2, the morning of Isaac's departure for Philadelphia from Monticello. When I came up to the grand east door of the big house, there sat James Hemmings, high and mighty up on the coachman's seat, the team all harnessed up and ready to go, with Master Jefferson's riding horse, Odin, tied on behind. He was eating a jam muffin and sipping coffee from a mug. He was a handsome man and knew it. "'About time you got here, Granger,' he said. "'We near ready to ride off.' James was just being irksome as usual, for I saw no sign of Mr. Jefferson, who was likely having his regular morning foot bath just then, and after that a proper breakfast, which he lingered over. He was a man of order and habit. James bobbed his head toward an old cart horse tied to a post and switching her tail. "'Take your mount,' he said. "'You're not riding in the master's coach, that's sure.' "'Beulah,' I said in consternation, "'why, she was the boniest old thing you ever seen, sunken where she ought to be thick, bumpy where she ought to be trim. Did Master Jefferson assign me to that animal?' I needn't have asked, of course. James inspected his fingers. "'She's saddled, ain't she?' "'You sure this animal can make it all the way up to Philadelphia?' "'I would say you had better make damn sure she does, because if she don't, you walk.' Well, a lot begins to happen from then on, so I hope you will have an opportunity to order a partial son and begin the story of Isaac Granger. Thank you very much for listening. Have a bodacious day.